Hey guys, so yeah, I have a little bit of time on my hands because my mom is visiting my older sister right now. She does that when she goes to church. She figures she's in the area. She'll do a little shopping afterwards and then go to my sister's or something like that. Normally she does Starbucks as well, but she swore off Starbucks for the month because of this Lent thing they're doing at work, at church, I should say. They're doing this Lent thing every time Easter comes around for at least a month or at least until Easter arrives, and then they can go back to doing what they love to do, which they gave up. So anyway, that's what she's doing, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. What I'm here to talk about is what you see in front of you on the screen, and I've talked about this on numerous occasions, but it seems that, in my opinion, and I mean all the respect when I say this. I mean all the respect when I say this it seems that some people are not kind of, I guess you could say, getting the idea. You know, I mean, I'm certain there are those that do, but some are not getting the idea at all. Like you could tell them one thing, but they misinterpret it like, oh, that's not possible. Well, that's why I have these images here that I took last night. These images are from my 4K TV, the one on top, and of course, well, both are from my 4K TV, I should say. But the first display on top, I should say, is from my 4K UHD Blu-Ray player, my 4K Ultra Blu-ray player. And the display on the bottom is the display from the TV. So, why do I bring this up, you might ask? Well, it's quite simple. Like I said, some people still, and again, I say it very respectfully, have basically not kind of gotten an idea of what I talk about when I say you get a bit of, a better, I should say, not bitter, but better picture, and that the signal gets up converted, basically, upgraded, if you will. And what I'm talking about is the fact that the display on top here, as you can see in the upper left hand corner of that picture on top, it says 4K at 60 frames SDR. Now, what is SDR? SDR is basically short for standard dynamic range. Now, we know at 4K, one of the more common DRs that are associated with it is high dynamic range, HDR. But SDR is standard dynamic range. Doesn't mean you can't, watch, this image in high dynamic range. You have that picture option, you could do so. And that's what I did. These images were actually shown in high dynamic range. Basically, I used the high dynamic picture option to go from standard to natural to movie to HDR, high dynamic range. And that's what I did. And there's a lot of, streaming outlets out there, gaming outlets, of course, like the PS5, as well as movies, streaming movies, digital, physical, that have the HDR automatically implemented into it, so that when you're playing it, your smart TV will pick up your smart TV or device, I should say, will pick up on it automatically, as HDR. Here, it picks up on the fact that, yeah, it's a DVD video, because as you see on the bottom, it says DVD video MPEG, right? MPEG. But basically, at the top, it says 4K at 60 frames per second SDR. And what it's saying is your picture is being seen now. It's been upconverted because of the signal to 4K to 60 frames per second. But the image is a standard dynamic range. Is automatically being seen or detected, I should say, in standard dynamic range. And again, like I said, what you could do is use your picture option and go to the HDR option on there to watch the image in high dynamic range, and you do get a better image along with the upconversion, if you will, that gets transferred over into the 4K television. Now, a lot of people might question whether this is fact or not. So on the bottom is the display from the TV, and as you can see on that one, it says in the upper right hand corner, it says basically the resolution for 4K, which is 3840 by 2160p, 60 frames per second. And then in the middle, I don't know if you can see that, it says UHD, ultra high definition. So what that's telling you right there is that the image you're watching is being broadcast or upconverted into ultra high definition, basically 4K. You're getting a 4K image. Again, I know this sounds very confusing. For a lot of people, it sounds very confusing and convoluted. Believe me, it's doing that to me as I'm saying this. It's always convoluted and confusing, to a lot of folks. But the fact of the matter is, when you piece this all together, for those that have always wondered, when could I watch my regular DVDs that are mostly transferred at 720p, highest at times being something like 1080i or 1080p, or the lowest being like 480p, this does answer that question of, can I watch them, in 4K if I put them, if I put the disc in my 4K Blu-ray player and watch it on my 4K television. Is that possible? And the answer is yes. Because again, what they're doing is basically, connecting with each other. They're basically transferring information in between each other, that being the TV and the 4K Blu-ray player. And they're telling each other, okay, this image, is going to be broadcast now or upconverted to 4K. It's going to be upconverted to 4K Ultra HD, but it's at 60 frames per second. But automatically, it's only going to be described, if not translated to standard dynamic range. It's not automatically going to go to HDR. That's the one thing people have to remember. It's not going to automatically go to HDR. It's going to stay at what it was originally, and that's standard dynamic range. But like I said, if you have that high dynamic range picture option with your television, then you can actually watch it in a high dynamic range and get a much brighter, nicer picture, color-wise, if you will, color-wise and everything. Like the colors will pop off better when you switch over to the high dynamic range picture option, on your picture choices. Like I said, go from standard to natural to movie or cinematic to basically high dynamic range. It'll pop, and the colors will pop up or pop off, a lot better. They'll come off a lot brighter, a lot more newer and fresher, if you will. It'll basically make, something like this, which is from Moon over Minerva. This is when Minerva melts into a puddle and Wilfred in his werewolf form picks her up and wrings her out like a wet towel to reform her. Basically, it'll make a cartoon like this, an image like this, look brand new, look like it was just released to the public, like it was just released to the public today, like it was just released today. That's what this does. That's what the upconversion of putting a DVD into your Ultra Blu-ray player does. It sends a signal, it transfers and sends that signal, it outputs a signal to your 4K television and tells you, hey, this is that, and that it's telling you, basically it's telling them, hey, this is a DVD this is a standard definition 480, 720 DVD that's being placed in the player, and basically what it's doing is it's converting that signal, it's transferring that signal to say, hey, it's basically it's saying, hey, 4K TV, show this in 4K. Show this in 4K at 60 frames per second, but don't show it any more than that. Because the signal it's going to give off automatically is standard dynamic range. And a lot of TVs nowadays, with the picture options, have automatically defaulted at standard. Now, like I said, you could switch the picture option from standard to natural, sports, to movie, cinematic, to high dynamic, or, HDR. You could do that. And, depending on what your preference is, you'll get a very decent picture. And if you go the HDR route, or the high dynamic picture range route in the picture options, combined with this that you see here on the screen, then you're going to get something that looks like it just came out today. And let me preface this too. This is not a remaster. This is not, the image, being remastered by Warner Brothers and all that when Animaniacs was released on DVD as a series. The original, that is. It's not a remaster. This is the original broadcast. This is the original master tape broadcast version of the show. This is the original uncut broadcast version of the show, as far as I know. And again, what's going on is all you're getting is an up-converted signal. That's what you're getting. The DVD, because here's the thing. When I had my 1080p television, my Vizio, which is now in the guest room, when I had it in here and I had, the 4K Blu-ray player connected to it, the signal it sent to it was not 4K, it was 1080p. Because, the HDMI cable being connected to it, basically was sending a signal, and the TV was like, okay, I hear you, but I can only do 1080p, so you were getting a 1080p signal. That's all you were getting, and when you would look at the display, it would register it back saying this is being broadcast on the TV at 1080p. And that's basically what the Blu-ray player would do. Even if it was 4K, it would let you know, hey, it's not being broadcast on that TV or shown on that TV at 4K, it's in 1080p, so that's the signal we're getting back in return. But if it's basically two devices that are connected, it's not connected, but if it's two devices that, can output the same resolution, then you're going to get a almost perfect marriage of, hey, I could finally see, my old cartoons or shows that, were released on 720p, 480p, if not 1080p DVD in 4K. You can finally be able to do that. The same with Blu-ray. You could put that on there, and it will tell you that it's at 4K. Like the display from the display that's from the Blu-ray play, the 4K Blu-ray player, like the one you see on top. If you put a Blu-ray in there, it will show you that it's 4K at 30 frames or 60 frames per second, and it will mainly say SDR. Most of the time it will say SDR, except when you use that picture option. Again, you go and choose the picture quality you want. You want standard, you want movie, you want natural, you want cinematic, sports, or high dynamic range HDR. You go to that last one, HDR, high dynamic range, and you're going to get a good image out of that picture, out of that picture option, to where it looks like it just, like I said, just came out the other day. You'll be able to do that. And again, just like on the bottom, when you look at the TV display, it will tell you that yes, it's being shown in UHD. It's being shown at 3840 by 2160p at 60 frames or 30 frames. Basically, I know this audio video is being, longer than it should in the eyes of a lot of folks, and as I said earlier, very convoluted and confusing and all that. But the point is, what you get either way is an up-converted signal. That's what you get. You get an up-converted signal. So for anybody that's thinking it's not possible, it is, because all that's happening when you connect a 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray player, 4K UHD Blu-ray player to a 4K UHD TV, you're going to get, when you connect those two together and you put a DVD, whether it's a bought DVD or even a recorded DVD or a burnt DVD, you're going to get a 4K signal. You're going to get your image shown in 4K, no matter what. The only thing is that you're going to have, as it says on the top, the SDR standard dynamic range and the frames. The frames it's going to be presented at either 60 or 30. That's all you're going to get. Mostly everything else will be 4K. And if you need even more proof, look at the TV display when you put that on there, and it will show you that yes, it is being shown on the TV at 3080/40 by 2160p at 60 or 30 frames per second in UHD. So yes, to make a long audio video short, because it shouldn't have been this long. But again, this is something that even for me is very long and convoluted and so on. Put this in parentheses, put this in put this enclosure, I should say, put this enclosure, long story short, and to make a longer video end sooner than it should have ended a long time ago. Basically, what you're getting is an up-converted signal. Again, you put a 4K, you connect a 4K Blu-ray player to a 1080p television or 720p television, then you're only going to get an image on that screen at 1080p or 720p, and it's going to send that signal back to the Blu-ray, and it's going to basically say, okay, I see what's going on here, and it's going to say, all right, all right, we get it, and they too in return will say that they're showing it at that frame, at that format, at that resolution. But if you connect, like I said, two systems that basically do the same resolution, 4K, you're going to get a 4K signal. The same thing with 8K, believe it or not. If you put something out there, let's say you have an 8K television, for those that do, and you connect it, to a 4K Blu-ray player, then what you're going to get in return is a 4K signal you're going to get an 8K signal, but it's not going to tell you, hey, it's 8K on the Blu-ray. So what you're going to probably get there as a display is a 4K signal. That's what it'll tell you. It'll tell you, once you look at it, 4K. It might tell you that. Now, I could be wrong, but when I played my DVD player, which I also have connected to it, it registered that DVD signal at 720. That's what it did, at 480, 720, or 720 at 1280. That's what it did. That's what it did. It registered it at that signal. Not just the DVD player, but the TV as well. So the TV, if you have an 8K, will basically do the same thing. It'll say it's displaying it at the resolution it's receiving it in, and that's 4K. But if you, like I say, if you have a 4K player, or maybe even an 8K player, because God knows those will probably come in if not already out there. If you have an 8K player and connect it to an 8K television, and that 8K player can do signals, can do DVDs and Blu-rays and all that, then you're going to get an 8K picture quality. That's what you're going to get. You'll still get in standard dynamic range, but you'll get an 8K 60 frames, 160 frames, 120 frames, whatever it is. You'll get that kind of a signal. And if you have that option to go to high dynamic range or ultra high dynamic range, depending on what 8K has picture quality wise, then you're going to be able to see it as if it just came out today. So basically, to try to make this short, because I know I'm going to hit the 20-minute mark soon if I don't. Basically, long story short, for anybody that's always been curious about that and still are, mainly the thing is, it's all about up conversion. It's all about up conversion. That's it. That's all it is. All you're doing is up converting the signal. Why do you think you have all these softwares out there that you have to purchase and install into your tablet or your computer or your laptop? Why do you think you have all these free online up converting softwares that offer you the opportunity to up convert up to 8K? Why do you think they give you that opportunity? Because basically what they're doing is they're taking that technology, that know-how from something like a 4K television connecting to a 4K Blu-ray and applying it for up conversion of regular videos and stuff that you create on your device, on your computer, your laptop, or your TV. That's what it's doing. It's taking that technology and somehow trying to replicate it so that you're able to take, like, let's say, a 1080p fan vid you did of something that you're a fan of and convert it to a higher quality. That's what it's allowing. That's what those kind of softwares and free websites allow you to do. But and that's mainly what you're getting here. Where do you think they probably got the idea? From something like this, to where the signal of a 720 480p, mainly a 480p 720p DVD, what do you think they got the idea from? From seeing that get up converted to 4K, courtesy of a 4K UHD player and a 4K television, basically being connected together and transferring and sending signals to each other back and forth to, you know, make that possible. And again, if you don't believe me, look at the display on top from the 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray player, and look at the display from the TV. You know, that should be enough evidence right now, in my opinion, to tell you, oh yeah, that is possible. But anyway, though, guys, I just wanted to bring that up. Again, I know it sounded like I rambled on a lot, and I sounded very convoluted and confusing. Believe me, even for myself, as I mentioned earlier, it's, you know, it comes out that way, because even I'm like, you know, I'm talking all this jargon, and even I don't know what it means sometimes. But let me know what your thoughts are down below, and if anybody knows a little bit more about, you know, what I'm trying to say here, let me know in the comments and in the live chat as well. You also get this on Rumble, so anybody there at Rumble that knows more about this, let me know if I'm, you know, kind of giving a decent, you know, iteration on this. And so till next time, guys, I will talk to y'all later, and until then, I'm out.